Hi Beth, hello, good afternoon everybody. We've just been having a very, very important and powerful session about climate change, a round table. Heard from some of the countries really staring down the barrel, the Maldives, Bangladesh, the Marshall Islands, countries pleading with the developed world to step up to the plate and supply the finance needed to make the changes necessary to fight climate change in the developing world. And we heard from some of the industrialized countries, the developed world countries, that the faint signs of progress. And I'd single out what we heard from Denmark, from Sweden, maybe from Italy, and let's see what the president has to say. President of the United States has to say tomorrow. But this is absolutely crucial because it's the developing world that are bearing. This was the point that was made so powerfully by leader after leader. It is the developing world that is bearing the brunt of catastrophic climate change in the form of hurricanes and fires and floods and the real long-term economic damage that they face. And yet it's the developed world that over 200 years has put the carbon in the atmosphere that is causing this acceleration of climate change. And so it really is up to us to help them. And anyway, the arguments were made very powerfully, and we have to see where we get to in securing that 100 billion. We also, as you know, got some good news about UK travellers to the United States. Double vaccinated UK travellers will be able to go by the end of October.
Prime Minister, we're very used to global leaders gathering annually to talk about climate change, but we've also this year seen firsthand the dangers of global warming with terrible floods and fires across the continents. Are we now at an inflection point?
I think that Glasgow COP26 is a turning point for the world, and it's the moment when we have to grow up and take our responsibilities. I think we go through, a period of glorious indifference about the world. We've been through that. We've been through our childhood, if you like. We now got to realise that this is a problem that requires grip, and there are changes we're going to have to make. But people should be optimistic because we can make these changes whilst encouraging the creation of literally millions of high-wage, high-skill jobs. We need to move from old hydrocarbon technology into new, clean, green technology, and that is fantastically promising. And as you can see with the current problems with some of the hydrocarbon shortages in around the world caused by the resurgence of the global economy, we need more than ever to move to security of supply for clean, green sources of energy.
And Prime Minister, on the 100 billion climate fund, you said last night that you had a 6 out of 10 chance of delivering this before COP in November.
Yes.
But this morning, President Biden's special climate envoy, John Kerry, said, and I'll quote him, "I think we're going to get this done." And he told us to stay tuned for the President's speech. So what are your odds now? 9 out of 10? 10 out of 10?
Beth, well, I congratulate you on following the story as closely as you are, and you're right. But I think that we've been here before. We've all heard lots of pledges, lots of positive noises. Let's see where we get to. We're not counting our chickens here, Beth. We're not counting our chickens. We want to see where we get to. We've made a lot of progress in Carbis Bay. The numbers are increasing at the G7 summit in Carbis Bay. The numbers are increasing. We heard some promising commitments from our friends in Sweden, in Denmark, Italy, and others, the EU. But the United States is crucially important.
President Biden adds more funds, isn't it?
It will make a huge difference, and I think it will send a massively powerful signal to the world, the developing countries that I've just been talking about, that we in the industrialized West really do take it seriously, and we really are willing to step up to the plate and help them. But what you also heard from those countries is a desire for concrete programs to help them with the green technology, and that we've also got to do.
On the travel ban, great news that UK citizens will be able to come to the US if they're double vaxxed. But on the way over to the US, and I'll quote you directly, you said, "I have to warn you, I don't think we're necessarily going to crack it this week." Again, as on the timing of the withdrawal from Afghanistan, it seems like you've been caught out by a president acting unilaterally.
Well, actually, I think what most people, most fair-minded people would say, Beth, is that we've made a lot of progress on getting people to double vaccinated people to be allowed to travel to the United States. They'll be able to get there by Thanksgiving. That's a great thing. I thank everybody in our joint working group, the US-UK joint working group, who've been hard at it. And I thank the President for the progress that we've been able to make. Yes, we have done it faster than we expected, but that's thanks to the hard work of our teams. I also think it's thanks to the high levels of vaccination that there are in the United Kingdom, and the very reassuring levels of immunity that there are now in the United Kingdom. It's not perfect, and I could just seize this opportunity, by your leave, Beth, just to remind everybody of the 5 million who still have not been vaccinated. There's no time like the present. Go get your jab. You won't regret it.
Prime Minister, with the gas supply crisis, people back home are terrified about the energy prices going up. But if you're maintaining the price cap, how are you going to prevent energy businesses from going under? What concrete steps will the government take to prevent firms collapsing, or are you going to leave it to the market?
Thanks very much. I think you really need to listen to what Kwasi Kwarteng, the business secretary, has to say. He's working flat out with the energy companies, doing everything we can to help them. Clearly their business model has been badly affected when the wholesale price massively increases, spikes in this way, and they have loads of customers on fixed retail prices. Then it's very difficult. But we're working very hard to find a way through, also to try to keep a steady supply of gas. But I want to repeat what I said yesterday. What you're basically seeing is it's like when there's been a serious frost in your house and all the pipes are frozen. Then the big thaw comes, and that's when you have the problems and the leaks and all the difficulties. And that's really what's happening to the global economy. It's unthawing very rapidly. It's unfreezing very rapidly, I should say. It's thawing very rapidly, and you're seeing problems in the supply chains. Very strong demand for gas around the world is producing this phenomenon, but we're going to fix it.
Thanks. And you said the UK's relationship with France is indestructible, but now Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has been snubbed by his French counterpart, Florence Parly. Isn't it true that the new AUKUS pact has caused real damage to relationships with France, and how are you going to patch things up with Paris?
I just repeat what I said to everybody yesterday. Our relationship with France is incredibly important. It is historic. It goes back a long time, and it is founded on shared values, a shared belief in democracy. We work together around the world. The UK and France are shoulder to shoulder in the Sahel. Fighting terrorism in the Sahel. We're shoulder to shoulder in the Baltic states, in NATO's largest current mission. And it's an extraordinary fact. There is one other country in the world with whom we share a program to do simulated nuclear testing. Which country is that? It's France. The UK and France have, I believe, a very, very important and indestructible relationship. And of course, we'll be talking to all our friends about how to make the AUKUS pact work so that it's not exclusionary, it's not divisive, and it really doesn't have to be that way. This is just a way of the UK, the US, and Australia sharing certain technologies because that is the sensible thing to do in the world in which we find ourselves. But that does not in any way mean that we wish to be adversarial towards anybody else or exclusive or crowding anybody else out. Okay? Thank you very much. Yes, yes.
What do you say to the developing world when you ask them about coal? Funding is one thing, but to ask them to cut coal when countries like the United States and the United Kingdom built their economies on fossil fuels, how do you convince them to do that? And China technically is still considered developing world here at the UN. What's your message to them, and do you feel like it's making, what's their response?
You can do it, is what I say. I mean, first of all, I accept your premise that, you know, we're the guys who created the problem. And, you know, the Industrial Revolution started in more or less in our country, in the iron and coal fields of the Midlands and elsewhere. That's where it began. And ever since then, for 250 years or more, we've been pumping this stuff out. And so, of course, I understand the feelings of injustice in the developing world, and the passionate appeals we just heard from Costa Rica, the Maldives, and other countries just now. But what I say to them is, yes, that's why we've got to get the funding to help you to make the progress that you need, and that's why the $100 billion is so important. And if Beth is right, then you know, let's hope there's progress. You know, we'll watch it very carefully. But the second thing is that you can do it. You can transit away from coal. And the UK itself, I think, in 2012, 40% of our power came from coal. It's now less than 1%. When I was a kid, it was 70%. And that's partly because of gas, but it's mainly because of the arrival of clean, green renewables on a scale that we never dreamt possible. And it's bringing that imagination to bear on the problem that I think will make all the difference.
Prime Minister,
Okay.
what do you make of their plan to swap their debt, vulnerable countries swapping their debt to climate resilient projects?
I thought that was the proposal from Colombia and others. I thought that was an extremely interesting proposal. I think that the MDBs need to look at that, and what I think we need to do is we need the MDBs and the developed nations to focus on the individual requirements of the countries that are making the transition, and to work out how by concrete financing means we can leverage in the private sector, leverage in investment in clean green technology, because that is going to make the difference. The MDBs, development aid, all that on its own is not going to fix this. It's got to be the private sector that comes in as well, and that's what I think we should be focusing on. Thank you, everybody. I'd love to talk to stay all afternoon, but I've got to go. Thank you.